welcome. Yeah, welcome to a night of Idaho balladeering with three of our state's best songwriters of original tunes and interpreters of traditional songs. So thanks for coming, folks. Have a lot of fun tonight. Tip your bartenders well. And please welcome our first balladeer, Mr. Gary Eller.
Check, check. Hey. Hi, Terry.
Well, we might as well give up after that.
I know.
So we're going to have a little tour through snippets of Idaho history, anecdotes that are told through poetry and song, and it's going to be a mix of songs that we wrote about events that we thought were pretty interesting, but obscure and overlooked, and songs that were written back in the day of these amazing events. And we're going to start with a song that I picked up in the Idaho State Historical Archives in a book by Max Delgado about the early mule skinners, Spanish and Basque-speaking mule skinners that came to Idaho and established the Hispanic and Basque presence here. And they were important because that gold up in the mountains wasn't worth anything if you couldn't get men and supplies in and the gold back out. If you've hiked the foothills, pay attention to the song. Miguel Soto was an honest and a hard-working man. Learned about skinning mules in 49. Packing in the grub, red eye and the tools for the men in the high Sierra mine. Salmon mines were booming when he came to Idaho, packing freight from Boise up the Loon Creek. In the fall of 1870, he sold off all his stock, $3,000 in gold, singing him a tune. Miguel soon would be leaving Idaho for good, going back to California at last, where his dulce corazon was awaiting patiently. Those hard times packing freight soon be past. Mule train,
Mule train,
mule train,
mule train. Miguel drove a 50 mule train.
Just imagine handling 50 of those critters at one time. What could possibly go wrong up in the mountains? At Cottonwood near Boise, he camped one final night, cooked some bacon and some beans for the day, when a no-good, rotten outlaw shot him in the head. He took the gold and quickly stole away. Troops from old Fort Boise rode out to the scene to catch the killer, but they rode in vain, 'cause all they ever found was Miguel Soto's ghost, giving orders to a phantom mule train. Mule train,
Mule train,
mule train,
mule train. Miguel drove a phantom mule train.
So the next time you're hiking the foothills, just sit down and be quiet. You don't know what you might hear. For many years thereafter, Miguel's final camp on the sagebrush flats and up the dusty draws. Honest men would swear they heard Miguel Soto's ghost giving orders to a phantom mule train. Mule train,
Mule train,
mule train,
mule train. Miguel drove a phantom mule
train,
mule train,
mule train.
mule train.
Miguel drove a phantom mule train. All right, thank you very much. Anybody here like train wreck songs?
Who doesn't, Gary? Who doesn't?
Well, why is it there were never any songs written about train wrecks in Idaho? There are some gory ones. So what do? You write a song about it, don't you? So who's hiked down at Celebration Park south of Kuna and walked across the train bridge? If you look to the right there where the old rail bed sneaked around the butte, that's where Rabbit Creek comes in. So now, if you write a train wreck song, I don't know if it's written, but it's true, you have to do some moralizing at the end of the song. So wait for it. 2, 3, 4. It was July 1912, times were getting poor. Oh, Wahee mines were running thin, hard times were in store. Now Dewey on the railroad, make this old train roll. We gotta meet the moving to make this company whole. Ed Jacobs was an engineer, fine as any man. Many river steamer had pain by his firm hand. Jacobs stood upon an engine, said, I'll give her my best try. I'll take old 611 and I'll show her how to fly. Now the Nampa Murphy short line, good as any made, it only had one problem, that was Guffey grade. From Murphy to the river, a long and slippery track. Jacobs tried to ram that grade, he never made it back. You hear that whistle whine? Sagebrush any line. Oh yeah. 611 started rolling, speeding out of town. The crewman knew that evil grade, said, Jacob, slow her down. But Jacob says, I know this grade, I'm sure we got her made. Too bad it was the first time he tried Guffey grade. Brakeman Bill Evans leaned hard upon the brake. He couldn't keep that short line train from his awful fate. Oh, the killer was a Rabbit Creek, the track that curved an S. Sagebrush Annie jumped the track, she made an awful mess. She rolled into the canyon, clear down to the creek. Stock was running across the sage, except those in the wreck. Engineer Ed Jacobs was scalded awful bad. The other crewmen suffered, and Evans, he was dead. You hear that whistle whine? Let's hear that banjo now. Here comes the moralizing. Oh, the consequence was heavy from losing that old train. The minor railroad rolled it soon, they never ran again. They say Brakeman Evans surely died in vain, standing on that boxcar and trying to stop that train. And the moral of the story, when you haul another's freight, don't go tearing down some unknown track, the cost may be too great. Can't you hear that whistle whine?
Gary
Thank
Eller.
you. Probably a good time to introduce the supporting felons here tonight. Thank you, sir. And I just given a banjo by Mr. Kim Murray of Boise, Idaho. He's an escapee from Calhoun, Georgia. And his brother flew all the way out here from Calhoun. Is it Calhoun? Or somewhere in Georgia.
Somewhere in Georgia, darling.
Because the family just could not believe that Bubba Ray had learned to play banjo. He grew up in Appalachia, and he didn't discover his Appalachian roots until he moved to Boise, Idaho.
Go figure.
And on your right, a star of stage, screen, TV, blues singer, torch lounge singer. I could go on and on. Becky Borza.
Yeah. Hi. Nice to see you all. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here tonight.
You didn't hand this thing to me tuned. You got this in a special tuning? Nope.
Well, speaking of sound, let's have a special warm thank you to Dave Ivers doing sound tonight for us. Doesn't it sound great?
Yeah.
We sound better than we do with him at the board.
And have a real treat with Tracy and Connor J coming up. And a special tip of the hat to the Sapphire Room. This is the finest listening place in the Treasure Valley, if not the state.
It's true.
And they do phenomenal job of supporting American music, from this kind of music to rock and roll.
Everything.
So, amen for the Sapphire Room.
Yes. Yes.
Right, and last but not least, on bass back here, he hails from California, but he lives in Wilder, and he has the greatest man cave of all of Idaho, Jay Fromlath.
He does.
And an escapee from Oregon, back here on harmonica, the finest harmonica player in Idaho. He actually was a professional horn player in a big band in California. Then he became a biker, and then he became a hog farmer, and now he runs the Bee Tree Folk School up in Weiser, Idaho.
Yes, yes.
Dennis Cooper.
And to my right, a real Idaho musical treasure, historian, archivist, songwriter, and storyteller, Gary Slim Errol.
Pshaw. You do go on. Okay,
All right.
this next song I found in the archives at Boise, at Idaho State Historical Society and in the early statesman's newspapers, and it taught me, just because it's in a state historical society or in a newspaper, it doesn't mean the story is true. And I also learned that you should be very careful about writing songs about somebody else's culture. So I wrote this song about an amazing black woman, and who became incredibly, in 1867 and the 70s, a highly respected figure in Boise, saying something, considering the attitudes at the time. I sent the song to my one of my black musical friends. Says, that line about her stopping in Boise because she was tired, I don't think that's right. Because she stopped there because it wasn't legal for a black person to go into Oregon at that time. That law was on the books until 1925 in Oregon. And it made me wonder about a lot of other lines in that song too. But I decided to keep the song as it is as a teaching point. So we all have blind spots. a slave from old Kentucky. Lincoln set her free. With old Judge Gray, she made her way west from Missouri. When Viney's feet could walk no more, she saw a bit of heaven. She would be in the city of trees after 1867. Viney worked and she saved her pay, a black gem oh so rare. Who could guess that she'd be blessed with a home beside the mare? Children came to Viney's porch. Her cookies were the best. They loved to hear her stories about coming to the West. Aunt Viney Moulton, a better life she found. Freed from chains, she crossed the plains and helped build Boise town. Play her, Slim. Letters from her sister dear told of Viney's life. She never saw her sis again until the afterlife. Viney was her church's rock, though no others shared her race. Church she sat so dignified, alone and full of grace. Silver dollar every week she dropped into the plate. Viney practiced what she preached. Her faithfulness was great. She said, when it's time, don't you bury me in the old churchyard. Lay me down with my own kind so feelings won't be hard. Viney Moulton, a better life she found. Freed from chains, she crossed the plains and helped build Boise town.
Gary Eller.
Thank you very much. All right, now we get to the good part here. So, over the last 20 years, I've collected some really fine, true Idaho cowboy songs. And this is right at the top of the list for me. And it was written by a gal named Esther America Nevada Brubacher. And she, around 1900, plus or minus, she grew up on a horse farm, Castle Creek in Owyhee County. And there were 7 children in that horse ranching family, and every single one of them was a girl. Now let that sink in a little bit. Big, huge animals, right? So, at any rate, she loved the life in the Owyhees, and she became known as the poetess of the Owyhees. She wrote hundreds of poems about that country, and this one was set to music by the musical poem recorder of Cascade, Idaho. I own Love Tilke, but that's another story for another time.
Yeah.
So Miss Becky's gonna sing this one.
Oh, yes. This is the part of the show when the meek and mild backup singer gets her moment in the spotlight. So.
You do say.
1, 2, 3, 4. me a trail up the mountain where the sweet syringas bloom. Give me a camp in the open beneath an Idaho moon.
Oh, yeah.
Let me hear the wolf dog wailing unto the night. Up on the old Scarp Vanguard when the moon is ghostly white. Oh, give me a trail, an Idaho trail where the first purple shadows lie. And the big red flaming moon shines up in the Idaho sky. Oh, give me a trail, an Idaho trail, a primitive trail and high, where the big snow-capped mountains hold tryst with an Idaho sky. Dennis Cooper. That's what I'm talking about.
Mighty fine.
Oh, give me a trail through the stardust and the perfume of the sage. Up in Idaho country, primitive as first age. Let me hear the laughter of the little coyote on the hill, drifting away in the starlight when the earth is hushed and still. Orale-iti, ale-iti, orale, orale-iti. Orale-iti, ale-iti, orale, orale-iti. Orale-iti, ale-iti, orale, orale-iti. Orale-iti, ale-iti, orale, orale-iti. Oh, give me a trail, an Idaho trail where the first purple shadows lie. Thank you. And the big red flaming moon slides up in the Idaho sky. Oh, give me a trail, an Idaho trail, a primitive trail and high, where the big snow-capped mountains hold tryst with an Idaho sky. Where the big snow-capped mountains hold tryst with an Idaho sky. Thank you. Thanks very much. Thank you, Gary, for letting me sing that.
Miss Becky B.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to stay in the cowboy mode. This is another one of my top 2 or 3 cowboy songs. And I found this song many places around Idaho before I found a melody for it. And then published several versions of the song, some of them with the wrong melody because I didn't know the melody at the time. I could go on and on about this story, but I'll just cut it short and tell you about an encounter I had with a cowboy, octogenarian cowboy in Pocatello that I ran into about 10 years ago. Rest in peace. And after our programs, I would give people a chance to teach me a song, and he came, said, well, I don't sing very well, and you're probably not interested in this, but yeah, I am, to sing the song. And he sang this song. And he sang it beautifully with this big, beautiful voice. And he learned it when he was a kid on cattle drives around Bone, Idaho. Anybody know where Bone, Idaho is? A few of you. That's way out there. And so I'm going to try to sing it the way he sang it to me. And it's kind of a coda. A few years after I got this song from him, his grandson, who was a choir professor at BYU, called up and said, would you mind, he passed away, would you mind if we played the recording you made of Uncle George, Grandpa George singing this song? Well, of course, it's his song, it's not mine. So I'm going to do my best to sing it the way he did, which is a cappella, which is the way a lot of true cowboy songs should be sung. Oh, give me back my pony, give me back my pinto pony, and the range of Idaho, where the quake and aspen cedars and the service berries grow. Let me roam the Blackfoot Mountains and the shores of Old Gray Lake, Wolverine and Tin Cup Valley, or where Bear Creek meets the Snake. Now, the lyrical images are so spectacular in the song. That's why I love this thing. Many nights we spent together on the Circle Lazy 8. Winds whispered through the pines, and a lone wolf called his mate. With a saddle for my pillow and a grassy slope for you. Northward lie the Tetons, and to the east the Caribous. Little pal, my heart is with you beneath the starry skies. Out where the moonlight's mellow, out where the coyotes cry. How I miss you, little pinto, wish you were here tonight. Out there in the silence, away from electric lights, I'll trade these narrow alleys for God's great outdoors. Sage and open spaces where baldy eagle soars. Take these polluted waters for a bubbly spring so clear. Give me a blue horizon for a smoky atmosphere. I'll trade these star-creased beaches for a boots and spurs and chaps, and a roundup on the range where the cowgirls wear felt hats. Give me Meadow Creek and Pinto, far from strife and care, for a cowboy's friend is truer, and there are no strangers there. Through walls I see a picture, through my teary eyes, a painting clearly calling me home to die. Purple distance, hazy mountains, rosy sunsets, twilight glow, cattle loading, horns a clanking, and they called it Idaho. Idle-lady, yodel-lodel-lady. Here's to George. Isn't that a lovely thing? So that's a real Idaho cowboy song for sure. Okay, we're going to do a song here I wrote about one of the baddest asses ever to come into Idaho. His name was Deadshot Reed, and from the time he was a little kid till the time he died in Blackfoot in the asylum, he left destruction wherever he went. And I could go on and on about him. I'll just tell you one anecdote. He wore out his welcome in Pierce, Idaho, when he eloped with a 14-year-old girl who was the daughter of his girlfriend. Nice guy, huh? Maybe that's why he spent 2 years running around looking for a wilderness home. Okay, it's about a Deadshot Reed. 2, 3, 4. The Texas boy was different, everybody knowed. Trouble always followed wherever he would go. At 13, he shot and killed the teacher in his school. His temper was hair trigger, he didn't suffer fools. He ran to South America to let the matter rest. He practiced with his pistol till he shot with the best. A man returned to Texas, now lives William Reed. Deadshot he'd be called, from demons never free. He became a Texas Ranger that many men would fear, with deadly skill with guns and a temper that was reared. He joined a cattle drive, then on to Idaho. The reason he left Texas, none can ever know, but we can guess. Deadshot was a badass, you didn't mess with him. Some folks called him crazy, might shoot you on a whim. It mattered not who you were, his teacher or his son. He battled his own demons, always ready with a gun. Ready with a gun. Shootout in Pierce left his brother dead for rustling up some cattle, so the DA said. And he beat the rap, found the darling of his life, a 14-year-old beauty. Bessie became his wife. For 2 years they wandered BC to Oregon, seeking isolation and a place to settle down. In 14, on the South Fork, Reef Bar became their home. Packing, trapping, canning, living on their own. Deadshot was a badass, you didn't mess with him. Until called him crazy, might shoot you on a whim. Matter not who you were, his teacher or his son. He battled his own demons, always ready with a gun. Ready with a gun. I love these guys are playing, backing me up here. How about a hand for them?
It's a pleasure, believe me, it is.
Well, Deadshot loved the wilderness. The years they quickly went. He and Bessie in a cabin, and the children in a tent. Deadshot was a hard man. His children lived in fear that Bessie would protect them, with danger always near. The German neighbor was a German. He wasn't very smart. He drew a gun on Deadshot, got a bullet through the heart. Deadshot said he drew first. The sheriff said, okay. The Germans lost again. Deadshot walked away. Well, Bessie put her foot down. Those kids must go to school, to a cattle ranch near Sweet. In 29 they moved. Deadshot went more crazy. He knifed his son in vain. He would die in Blackfoot, a place for the insane. I wonder why. Deadshot was a badass. You didn't mess with him. Some folks called him crazy. Might shoot you on a whim. It mattered not who you were, his teacher or his son. He battled his own demons, always ready with a gun. Ready with a gun.
Gary Eller.
All right, thank you very much. Now, we're going to do two more songs and we'll be out of here. How many of you have been to Copperfield down in Hell's Canyon? Copperfield Campground? You grew up practically down there, right? So if you were there, right now you'll see a beautiful Idaho Power Campground. If you were there about 110 years ago, you would have been in the baddest ass mining camp in America. And it's so it was said, it was so bad that the Baker County, Oregon DA and attorney and sheriff would not go near that place. But isn't it true that there's always somebody to ruin a party? Somebody always sees people having too much fun. All these men running around there with every vice known to man available to them. Because the first attempt to build the dam in Hell's Canyon failed, the copper mine failed, and the railroad was built, so there's nothing to do except debauch. So the governor at the time was a rabid abolitionist. Prohibitionist. Prohibitionist. This was when Prohibition raised its ugly head, you know. So somebody wrote this letter of complaint to him. This shall not stand on my watch. And so he sent down his firebrand executive secretary, all 4'10", 85 pounds of her. Her name was Fern Hobbs. And she rode in on the train and declared martial law, and just imagine the picture. All these wild miners, right? Yeah, you and the train you rode in on, right? But somehow they made it stick, and a year later there was nothing there, maybe 50 people there. And half the town had been burned down. So it became a national event. I found a title of a song called I Could Live Forever with a Girl Like You from Copperfield. And I just know what that song's about, but I could never find the lyrics. So what are you going to do?
Write it
Right.
yourself. Yeah.
In 1913, we had one hell of a time at the Oxbow on mighty Snake River, drinking moonshine and blackberry wine. No work at the mine or the railroad, so we ran wild every day. drinking, fighting, cussing and gambling with sporting girls we love to play. One thing I knowed, sure as I was born, I could live with a Copperfield girl. Dennis! Do it again.
Dennis Cooper.
But a do-gooder wrote to Governor Oz, that teetotaling son of a gun, shut down the saloons, flush all the booze, chase sporting girls out of town. Oh no.
Oh no!
So the governor sent Fern Hobbs to Copperfield, there to declare martial law. She read the act, left on the train, and the governor's marshals remain. I quick had to choose a good sporting girl, and we left Copperfield on the run. And now it's 50 years later. Copperfield ain't much to see. No bars, no saloons, no sporting girls, no dance halls where we can swirl. But I'm still with my Fanny Marie, my sporting girl still at my side. Lord, we had fun, fleeing the world, had a family of 10 on the run. And I know I done right long ago on that night when I picked out my Copperfield girl.
Isn't that a great song? I love that song.
Thank you. You've been a good, really great audience,
Yes.
and we'll do one more song and we're out of here. And all three of us, all the balladeers, have merch out there on the table if you're interested in it. And that's one way to encourage us to keep doing this stuff. Believe me, it is not a moneymaker. So a little gas money goes a long ways. So I'm working on the 20th of my CD booklet projects right now. And this one, the unifying theme is the Hells Canyon region. And for me, that's from the Weiser Valley over to the Wallowa Valley. Now, how many have been in the Wallowa Valley? Joseph? Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, it's the most beautiful part of Oregon. Yeah. You know, Chief Joseph country. You can see why it was so painful for him to leave that area. It had everything that you'd want. So I was doing some field work there recently, and I ran across this incredible story. I'm a West Virginian by birth, and my formative years were there. Always loved story songs, right? Obviously. And I learned that around 1900, plus or minus a bit, a bunch of families of West Virginians somehow found that country, and they moved there. And they were running away from the violence in the coal fields and the coal wars and the dreadful working conditions in the mines. And they set up a farming community called Promise, as in the biblical land of promise. And the patriarch was George Washington Carper, a preacher. And today there are still plenty of carpers over there in that valley. And the Carper family brought their Appalachian traditions with them, including West Virginia-style fiddling. I said, man, that's a great song, a great story. I'm going to write a song about it. And they said, we already did that. And indeed they did. They wrote an incredibly beautiful song that captures, it's a great example of the art of condensing a beautiful story into a very few words. There's probably 150 words in this song, and it captures all the high points of the story, which books could be written about. So to me, that's the mark of a fantastic ballad, brevity. So it's called The Promise. Emerging from the darkness in the mines of West Virginia, looking onward to the promise of a new and brighter day, of a new and brighter day. So we left there, traveling heavy, westward bound to our new birth, with the grace of God to guide us to the arms of Mother Earth, to the arms of Mother Earth, to the promised land I promise we will go.
The song of
These blue mountains call us home. Tallest pines and greenest meadows, fertile ground, new seeds to start, and the deepest snows of winter melt away with the fires of our heart, melt away with the fires of our heart. To the promised land I promise we will go. The song of these blue mountains called us home, and from these promised hills we'll never roam. And here our spirits are forevermore. Thanks for coming out tonight. Thanks to Sapphire Room, Connor J, Tracy, and my buddies here on stage. To the promised land I promise we will go. The song of these blue mountains call us home. Thank you very much.